do this.
All right. This is Sandcast, beach volleyball with Tri-Born and Travis Mawerda, brought to you, as always, by our guys at Kona, which my man Lee Feinswog is proudly displaying to the camera, along with Ed Chan, the editors, owners, writers, do everythings at volleyballmag.com. How are we, gentlemen? Welcome to California, Lee.
The other LA.
Yeah.
I live in Louisiana, LA. This is L period, A period.
There you go.
Most people don't get that.
Right.
Where are you from? The other LA. Whatever.
Yeah.
But proud to quaff a Kona on Sandcast. Now, most people probably don't know this, but I named Sandcast.
You did?
And I decided it would
right.
be Sandcast, and I decided it would be all capital letters. And I don't remember why. Travis and I were just kicking the idea around, and I said, Sandcast.
Yeah, because it was the Sandcast, and you said, no, just Sandcast.
Yeah, it's kind of catchy, though.
Yeah.
It's caught on.
Yeah.
Do you have T-shirts yet and stuff?
We do have T-shirts. We have T-shirts. We have some hats, sweatshirts. Rafi Paulus wears our sweatshirt like everywhere. It's
double
great.
X T-shirt. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I can get you one.
Okay,
We
I
don't have
figured.
the polos.
I don't want polos.
We're not a formal
I wore this,
production.
so we're here. We're here because I'm here, and Ed's in California. He lives in San Diego, but I came because I'm out here for meetings with P1440 and stuff, and we did the media photo shoots today.
Right.
So that's where I'm wearing the company logo, and it is too. Although this is actually a collector's item because the new logo has the P1440 colors and the little volleyball in there. So we'll be getting new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all into swag. Ed, say something, will you?
Loving it.
There you go.
Ever the talkative photographer.
So when we got together and bought the magazine, Ed and I have known each other a long time. We knew beforehand, but it was always just slight interactions. He'd be shooting pictures, I'd be writing stuff, and he had explained to me that he was the shy guy, and I said, well, I kind of gathered that, and you can imagine I go into an empty room and have a good conversation. So,
There's a reason I'm normally behind the camera.
Right.
This is the wrong side of the camera.
You don't meet like too many extroverted photographers, though. I feel like it's just the way it goes. Like most people who do the photos and the videos are the introverted ones. Then on the other side of the camera is where you get the extroverts.
There are notable exceptions. So
Yeah.
Mike Gomez,
For sure.
it's definitely out there. But as a rule, yes.
let's just say Ed's no Andy Leibovitz. As far as we won't see him on late night TV or anything. Yeah.
Well, this is like as late night TV as it gets in the volleyball world right now.
No, but this is pretty cool. So we're at Tri's house, and
You're not supposed to tell anyone. Everyone thinks we're at Manhattan Beach Pier.
I was just going to say, you may find this hard to believe, but we're not green screen. But he's got this great nook right here where the show is set up. It's perfect. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, they told me. So I remember, on my TV show back in Baton Rouge is called Sports 225. It used to be called Sports Monday, and it's actually in its 25th year. But I never forget when we went to a virtual set for the first time. So you're in a green screen, which is in a green room.
Right.
And the only thing there are the two chairs and a little table. But when people watch, they see all this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we did the first show at the virtual. The next day, a friend of mine said, God, that was really cool. He goes, I know you were doing the virtual, but why did you have that table right in front of you like that? And I said, that wasn't a table, it was the floor. And they couldn't figure out a way. So the floor actually had floated up and looked like we were sitting in front of this table that cut us off.
What?
Yeah, because there's a reaction to everything that happens. We since got it down. But
Right.
Yeah. So not doing this in front of a green room is kind of comforting.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. Plus, when you wear green on accident and then you just look... things are like going through you, and
I got this Kermit the Frog mug where he's a reporter. So it's Kermit the Frog here for the Muppet News, and he's got a little microphone, and he's got the hat that says press, but of course Kermit's green.
right.
So the first couple
hat.
shows,
Kermit was on the green screen.
I drink the water, and all you see was my hand, and I didn't realize it while we were doing it until after you saw it on the on the replay. I was like, ooh, that's
great.
So he's on my desk now. Yeah.
Well, give us a rundown. Like, I know a fair amount about the Volleyball Mag story and how you guys kind of got it together, but I don't think many of our listeners sort of know how you guys ended up being the owners of Volleyball Mag and like the incredible growth that it's gone under in the last like 3.5-ish years that you've had it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all culminated by the fact that we're now part of P1440, which is so exciting for us. Well, you start by telling them how you've been a beach volleyball player and subscribed to the magazine.
Yeah, so I've subscribed since the beginning, which was about 4 years ago, and it used to be this big newsprint thing, that came out.
Like a physical magazine.
Yeah, well,
Imagine that.
Back in the day, it was a big, thick magazine.
It was enormous, and it was newsprint. And in those days, it took about 3 months for the results to get out. So the U.S. would go to World Championships, and you'd find out how they did in the magazine like 2 months later. Because, nobody cares about volleyball in the 70s.
Right.
So, the sport grew, and as the sport grows, the magazine grew. And one day, we could tell that the enthusiasm for the magazine was dwindling because the pages got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Are you going fast forwarding to now, like when we got to?
I'm getting to that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but you're missing out the whole point, though, that you had become a freelance photographer for the magazine for a very long time.
Yeah.
What year did you start?
2007, I started with the magazine.
Yeah. So, and I had never even. Actually, I take that back because my wife is a former legendary high school volleyball coach. Travis has met Brenda, and
she's
of course
lovely.
Ed has, and she. The magazine would come and I would look at it, but I never really gave it any thought. It was just like, there it was. So he was working for him the whole time. So in 2011 and 12, I wrote for NCAA.com. So you remember when CBS made the big $1 billion deal for the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
And they tied in with TBS. Well, TBS is and TNT and the True Network, that whole package. Well, they're owned by Turner.
Okay.
And part of that deal was that NCAA.com went to Turner. The NCAA has nothing to do with NCAA.com. It's run by Turner. Well, a buddy of mine ran that whole operation. He hooked me up, and I freelanced for them for the whole year. So I got a couple of great volleyball stories that tie in. So anyway, I covered like 13 national championships, wrote like 90 stories. They spent $18,000 on me alone that 1 year on expenses, travel expenses. I went everywhere. It was so much fun, and I got to write all sorts of volleyball stories. So I covered indoor women's championship, the NCAA men's championship, both water polos, the Final Four, the BCS, all the lacrosse championships up in Massachusetts, some D3 stuff. Anyway, getting to do all that and just having a great time. So in the spring of that year, in May, the men's championship, the Final Four, was at USC. And it was UC Irvine won. That was the last year that John Speraw was coaching UC Irvine with all that speculation. I don't know if you remember that.
He beat me in the national championship.
Yeah, but you remember all that speculation that they were going to go to, that he was going to leave and take the UCLA job because the legendary coach at UCLA was retiring after 50 years, Al Skates, and Speraw was the guy going back, and Fergie was coaching USC and called him the Golden Boy, in the press conference to just jab him a little bit. Anyway, and Sarah Hughes' brother,
Connor,
served a walk-off ace to win the national championship in there. Anyhow,
in the Galen Center, right? That
yeah. So as we're getting ready to play the semifinals, I'm seated. Here's midcourt, and my seat is here, and next to me is a woman named Aubrey, who is the editor of Volleyball Magazine, and we just made acquaintance. Now, I didn't think anything of it because, I was doing the NCAA.com stuff. Well, I had never seen a men's volleyball match in person. My first match was going to be the national semifinals. So it's like an hour and a half before the match, and Hugh McCutcheon comes by, and he comes over, and we see each other, and, I knew him from, he had finished his first year at Minnesota, and we'd done interviews, and we shake hands, we visited him, and I could tell he was out of place, and I looked at him, and I said, Hugh, you sneaked in here, didn't you? And he goes, yeah. And he said, you don't have a credential or a place to sit, do you? And he goes, no. I said, well, I happen to have 2 seats, and I'm not using one. Oh, that'd be great. My first men's volleyball match, I sat with Hugh McCutcheon for the whole match.
For the national championship?
Yes, and that's how I learned more that day than you can possibly imagine. And what was really cool was that was on I think it was Thursday, Saturday. That was Thursday, and then Monday he had invited me to come down to Anaheim to the training center.
Okay.
And they were just a few weeks out from making cuts for the.
He
2012.
was still the head coach of the U.S. national team.
Yeah, the women's
at that point,
team.
Right?
Yeah, they were getting ready for the London
Okay.
Olympics.
Got it.
And so I got to go after that to the training center. Anyway, I'm getting to the part where Ed jumps back in again. No, but this is relevant because then the following July, I'm at USA Volleyball Nationals as a club director, Volleyball Baton Rouge. and having a great time, and I'm talking to all sorts of college coaches and taking notes for all these stories I'm going to get to do in the fall.
Yeah.
And my guy from Turner calls and says they're firing all the writers. They're not going to use anybody. They're getting rid of all of us. He kept his job, but all they cared about was the Final Four, and sports information directors were going to file stuff. And I was so bummed.
Yeah.
In August, all of a sudden, I was like, wait, I sat next to the editor of Volleyball Magazine. I sent her a note, Aubrey Everett, and said, I'm a free agent. Could you use me? And you guys have never seen the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but it's kind of like where he goes, well, considering I'm desperate and you're exactly what I need. So that's how I got with the magazine. So I kept up with them. You know, I wrote, 4, 5, 6 years as a freelance writer for Volleyball Magazine, which had a very limited website and a drastically diminishing circulation, print population, and the magazine kept getting smaller.
Yeah.
And that's where Ed jumps in. Thank you for letting me tell that story. But I thought that was relevant to explain to you, how I got into the thing.
Yeah.
So
the magazine was shrinking, and we had a person on the inside, Megan Kaplan, and I put in a word with her that when the pain point gets to the publication enough, let me know, and we'll offer to buy it. So one day she hit that point. Made a call, hey, you guys interested in selling? And said yes.
I'm driving to Houston.
Okay,
and I'm on
you
I-10.
had started Destination Volleyball.
Well, yeah, see, I had, even though I was still writing for Volleyball Magazine, I had started that website called destinationvolleyball.com so I could do more stuff just for the fun of it.
Right.
And I had decided to put together a team to put Volleyball Magazine out of business and take over. No, seriously. And we could have done it. I mean, I rounded up all the troops, and it was going to be, I ponied up a bunch of my own money and had gotten all the plan. I'm driving to Houston. I'm on I-10. Ring, ring, and I look down. It's Ed Chan. And what's happening? Oh, we can buy Volleyball Magazine. You want to buy it? I said, sure. He said, okay. And that was it. That was the business negotiation. And that's how we became publishing magnates.
So how did you guys actually meet, though? Because you were...
Because I was the photographer and he was the writer. So
at
together.
women's Final Fours, generally.
Got it.
We started a tradition of, which you'll finally get to be a part of this year, where we have a Friday night dinner.
Okay.
Where it's a big gathering.
Okay.
It's at a place called Over Eden in Pittsburgh on Friday night,
Love
December
Pittsburgh.
20th or whatever. Oh, I know. You have family there and friends there. So we have, but...
You might get a few extra fans there now.
exactly.
What time?
Please,
The reservation's under...
We're going to work it out. So we sat next to each other a couple of times, and got to visit and got to know each other over the course of that time. And you couldn't have two people from two different worlds in so many virtual, physical, literal ways.
Yeah.
To be partners and good friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so when he said, yeah, we can buy it, I was like, yeah, okay. Called my wife, said, we're buying Volleyball Magazine. What's that mean? I don't know.
We'll see.
I've hated him ever since.
Clearly.
So we immediately, once we acquired the assets, and we immediately made the decision, everything we've done is mutual. And we've battled over a couple things, and I usually win because my personality is so much stronger. I'm strong about stuff. But we agreed we had to kill the print. The print was negligible at that point. It's real costly, and people read. We know from Google Analytics that they're reading. Correct me if I'm wrong. Something like 20% on a computer and 50% on an iPad, and the rest on a phone.
Right.
Something like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
And we decided that we would change the focus to become the daily digital news source of volleyball, and with limited resources that we hope would grow.
And the sponsor
we
of
recognize,
Sandcast.
the main focus has to be women's indoor. Okay, that's the biggest thing, and then pro beach, and then women's college beach, and then somewhere in there becomes men's indoor. I love men's indoor. And Mick Haley, the legendary volleyball coach, Mondays with Mick. We do it every week. You should watch. But Mick said years ago, he goes, athletic directors in America are missing the boat on men's volleyball. They could sell out arenas. People would just love it. It's such a great sport, and it's low budget.
Yeah.
I know. But it just can't gain any traction. If you're watching this and we write about men's volleyball, click on it. Just look at it for a little while in the spring. You know, it's really tough. You know, because you played before crowds of dozens when you played. At places
sold out
where
the front row of Galen Center.
Yeah, where you would think there would be so many people interested because the game is so exciting.
It really is.
It doesn't translate as well to television. Men's volleyball, not like the women's game, because it's so big and powerful. But when you see it in person, you see these kids touching 12 feet and hitting the living bejesus out of the ball, and then guys dig it. Every time they dig a ball, I'm like,
when I go back to indoor, I'm always like, whoa, like, am I just gone from indoor, so my eye's not used to seeing it move that fast, or like, has the game like evolved since I've been in indoor?
Yeah.
Like I forget what it's like, and it's.
Well, when was the last year you played indoor?
I played professionally in Puerto Rico last? Yeah, Puerto Rico in 2012.
Well, 7 years is a long time in the evolution of any sport, but you know, if you go back not that much farther than that, and you think back to how short of a time ago we didn't have a libero, we didn't have first ball multiple touch, we didn't have guys and women playing the ball with their hands over their head on so many plays.
I watched the gold medal point recently of wasn't maybe like 80 Olympics or something when we won the gold. Sorry, I should know that. When we won the U.S. national
84.
team won gold. Okay, 84. It might have been before that. But the gold medal point, it was like guys are digging it and then they just like standing there ready to set. It wasn't like anything. You know, they were out of system. It was just like stand there and set it straight over to the side, and they were hitting the crap out of them. Those guys were athletic. It was a standing float serve for the gold medal point. So I was like, this is a lot different than if you watch it nowadays.
Well, I mean, you know, the rally scoring is not as good as serve scoring. Serve scoring is a better game. Mm-hmm. But as somebody who was a club director for 20 years and who puts on volleyball tournaments for girls, I mean, I put on 2 big tournaments. It's really nice to know that basically within an hour you're going to get a match finished.
Yeah. Right.
You know, there's so much to be said for that. But man, the sport was so exciting. You know, now if you're down 24-20, once out of 50, 60, 70 times you might come back.
We are going to take a quick second to pause for a commercial break from our sponsors who keep the show moving forward as always, as do you, the listeners. You guys are by far the most important part of this show. Just wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone who always says hi at the beach and says thanks for the show, thanks for all the information, for putting it out. And honestly, I almost feel bad taking gratitude and thanks because it's just a blast. It's an absolute blast for me and Try to just talk volley, and it's an absolute blast to know that you guys are listening. So a huge thank you to you guys, the listeners. You are the reason that we do the show in the first place and the reason that it keeps going on. Another big reason is the fact that you are still supporting our sponsors. One of our favorites, obviously, the ball maker of them all, Wilson Volleyball. The AVP plays with it. The CBVA plays with it. The college girls play with it. Everyone plays with Wilson Volleyball except for the FIVB who uses a Mikasa, but we're not going to worry about that for now because for now, it's the end of AVP season, which means that your balls are probably a little bit beat up and that you probably need some replacements. So order some at wilsonvolleyball.com and use our discount code Wilson Sand for 20% off. All right, that'll get you a bunch of new volleyballs that you'll need heading into the off season at the end of season here as it winds down. Our next sponsor. Now, all the Beats players listen to this. You need something to do with all your prize money. Might as well go over to Pacific Coast Wealth Management. Hit up our guys over there. They can help you out with a retirement portfolio. They can put your money in all the right spots. They're great guys. They know beach volleyball. They're the ones who help put on the Laguna Beach Open. So hit up our guys at Pacific Coast Wealth Management and talk to them about your finances today. And last but certainly not least of our sponsors, we have Firefly Recovery. And God bless those guys at Firefly because they are the only reason that my knees are still intact at this point in the season. Travel, it isn't just a pain to travel anymore. You can actually recover while you travel. You can just strap them on your knees and it moves the blood flow around. So when you step off the plane, you're not all stiff and you don't need a full day or two to get ready to play. You are just ready to rock and roll as soon as you step off the plane. If you are an office worker, you can slap those things on while you're in the office and it'll go. I've gotten a lot of messages about Firefly and how great they are. So give them a try today at Firefly Recovery. And now back to the show.
You were down 11-2 in serve scoring. No sweat. It's all cool. We'd chip away at this.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, and then the libero changed everything. The ball hitting the net and going over changed everything. I mean, it's in many ways a very different sport.
Right.
I think the biggest thing for me is first ball multiple hit and playing the ball with your hands up over your head.
Serve receive.
Yeah, but just the fact that anybody can do that.
Right.
You know, when you played like as a kid, guys didn't play with the ball up here on first and second balls.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm sure. And you were a kid when the libero came in.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want like the beach powers that be to stop watching the indoor game and you look at the FIVB and they're like all the rules changes they're making are trying to emulate the indoor game. It would like break my heart if like, you know, overhead touches like became legal, if like you could pass with your hands and serve receive like they do in indoor. It would kill me.
My game personally has evolved based on the rule changes. Like we were talking about the other day, my hand setting, like I used to be a disher. I used to dish it, just get it out clean, and I loved it too. You know, you take a lot of pride in having no spin, a nice deep dish, coming out clean. But once I got on the world tour and they started calling everything deep and absolutely nothing that's quick up top, I just started going, my hands are ugly now, which I used to take pride in. Now I think at least, but it's all just quick. You know?
Well, you got to adapt to the rules. Like, do you remember 3 or 4 years ago, they ruled that it was okay for the setter, and this was we applied this in girls club volleyball, for the setter to dig the ball out of the net, and if they made contact underneath digging the ball out, it was okay. It's lasted for 1 year.
No, I played with those rules.
So we taught the young girl setters, we just go in there. Just go. Yeah. Just take the whole net with you and clear it out so the ball doesn't hit the floor. And I knew it was wrong, you know, but it was like that's what the rules are allowing.
Yeah.
So
it's not a net unless it's at the top of the tape. That was the rule, right? For a little while.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. But that's any sport. They're all going to evolve, and I think all the old school personalities are always going to hate it. Oh, you're taking out
I'll give you the one. Like
the art of the game.
I liked it so much better in sports when the umpires were God. Okay, right and wrong or indifferent, out, safe,
right,
but whatever. Yeah. And now, think how much time of our lives is spent watching replays in sports, especially in volleyball. Right. They fight wars in shorter times now to decide a touch call in a women's game on a replay.
Oh, totally.
And it's only going to get better and worse, depending on...
Well, now we have the replay system in place, so that's more commercial time for us. But it's working, the replay system, I will say. It works.
Yeah, just for one court, though, right? It's only on stadium for bigger events.
Yeah.
They don't...
But
do
it's
they
awesome.
have it at 4 stars? I've only ever seen it at the majors.
Yeah,
okay.
I think only the big ones.
Got it.
But it's a great system and it works.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, our sport happens so quick and there's so much bang happening. Like, there's a lot of missed calls. And we're all, programmed to just be like, nope, didn't touch it. And then you walk back to your partner, touched it. And then you high five and you go serve. But, I mean, I think it's good that those calls are being changed.
I would like to see occasionally, like, a player just, I touched it. Come on, give him the point. Everybody saw it.
They do. Some people do that, right?
Yeah. It was pretty funny, and something kind of similar happened in Hawaii. I was playing Rosie and Brian Cook in the final round of the qualifier, and they called me on a set. The ref said it was a lift, and Rosie was like, dude, that shouldn't have been a lift. Like, that set was fine. He told me, that was a good set, and he was like, I'm going to take the point, but that set's fine.
Knowing that you can't change the call now, I'm going to go ahead and give you that one.
There are guys, though, who will, you'll see them on the World Tour where, if a ball is, sort of questionable, whether it's in or out, and they know that, the ref comes and checks the mark, they'll just call it in. You build up some honesty points, so then when you might, peel off your fingertips, no, I'm honest, I told you.
Right. Gamesmanship's a big part of sports.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
No doubt about that.
And the problem is when the ref lets you dictate it, Some of the veteran players, I feel like the refs will, let them talk or let them take their... Oh, whoa, I don't want to piss off this player, so I'm just going to kind of let them talk to me and then let them do their own thing. And, I mean, really, they're just using and abusing the ref and the rules.
Well, that was one of my favorite books was called The Jordan Rules. It's all about Michael Jordan.
Oh, for sure.
There's, double entendre there. The Jordan Rules or the Jordan Rules.
It's like Tom Brady too, right?
Yeah.
Brady got his a few rules changed in his favor.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There's a tuck rule, and now like anybody, if you look at Brady the long way and he goes down, roughing the passer.
You hit below the knees. That was basically him, right? Because he got rolled up on.
Meanwhile, back to volleyballmag.com. No,
Right.
Well, when you guys did buy it, though, like, I mean, what was the mindset when you bought it? You were like, okay, well, like, now what type thing? Like, did you look at it as like a viable business thing, or was this just like, because you mentioned you just like had a lot of fun writing these stories, and like you were starting Destination Volleyball. I can't imagine you'd be like, I'm going to start this to make millions in media, because like you look at two ventures that you're not going to make a ton of money in. It's journalism and volleyball, and you combine the two.
Thank you for pointing that
sports
out.
photography.
Yes.
Well, Ed's got a business
Right.
called vbshots.com, where I'm sure Tri has bought plenty of pictures of himself from you, and if he hasn't, he should.
I appreciate it.
But
I appreciate all the shots.
vbshots.com. But yeah, so I gave up the destinationvolleyball.com, and vbshots.com got merged into volleyballmag.com, and so there it was. And like I said, our goal, and we agreed upon this, was we were going to try to make it a daily digital news source about volleyball.
Yeah.
So we launched our new website, which was just fabulous, right before the 2016 Olympics. And I never imagined that my life for 2 weeks was going to consist of 3 TVs, a laptop, an iPad on, basically, 18 hours a day. I watched every single beach and indoor men's and women's match of the 2016 Olympics.
Every match.
Every single
Not
one.
every American match.
Every match.
Wow.
And I took notes all day, and then I would wake up crack of dawn or that night or whatever I had energy for, and then I would write up the stories. And that's how we covered the Olympics. And then he jumped in on, some of the stuff, and I don't remember if we had other people helping us. And I remember just thinking when it was over, wait, this is done, and now NCAA women's season's about to start?
Yeah.
So what I do there is, I look at every single NCAA women's box score every single day. I do the same thing for the men's during the spring, because I don't want to miss one important match or one phenomenal performance. There's that kid who gets 37 kills, and you just,
Right.
for East Jackass Flat State U, and you have no idea who his was. And if you don't follow it, that you don't want to be that. So then, of course, we did feature stories, and Ed jumped in. Ed had never been a writer, and my joke with him is, as a photographer, as a writer, he was a really good photographer.
Yeah.
But it's a craft that he's had to learn and
Right.
gotten very
Still
good
not
at.
a writer.
No, but he had never interviewed people with the idea that, I'm not only going to feed a quote to somebody. Wait, I'm going to save all these quotes to write stories.
Yeah.
And we've had tremendous response to some of the stories. And he's done now college indoor stories, but mostly on the beach stuff. Really good stuff. But so the second year, or maybe later that spring. So let's see, we took over in 16, so it must have been the spring of 17. And I drove to Gulf Shores, Alabama in May to cover the NCAA Women's Beach Championships, which I love. It was a super event.
And that site was awesome.
Yeah.
It's great.
No, it's good. And a friend of mine named Kyle Blackburn, who lives in Baton Rouge, or now has moved, but had coached volleyball Baton Rouge for me, and is a beach guy who Travis knows. He calls me and he says, "Have you seen this website called Paper Courts and this guy Travis who's writing?" And I said, "No." And I had flipped on my computer. I'm in the media tent there, and I flip it on and I read it and I went, "This is incredibly good stuff." I sent an email to the address there, and I said, "Call me." And a few minutes later, Travis Mewerder called me, and I said, "You're going to work for me." And it's like, "Who are you?" Whatever, I said, and so we exchanged stories, and I said, "You started writing stuff for us."
Yeah.
And I told Ed it would be just a matter of time before we lost you. Well, if you remember too, that year you started doing stuff for a major media outlet like Yahoo or somebody.
Yeah.
You did a bunch of stuff like mainstream football and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But every once in a while he'd come back and he'd still be doing stuff with us. And then somewhere along the line we started Sandcast, and then P1440 came calling, which was, great opportunity.
Yeah.
So the single best part about the merger, the money was good, but was, I said, well, we get Travis back. So, you're finally able to write stuff for
Come full circle.
volleyballmag.com, and we're able to put things on both websites, and it's really good. I mean, this guy is a really good sports writer and a good writer in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you've written some unbelievable stuff. And when you get a little emotional and corny, it's even better. But not tonight. Thank you very much. But you know what I'm saying, Tri.
Totally.
I mean, the guy's good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I heard you wrote a book. One of these days, I need to read the damn thing. Okay. But so that was just one of the things that happened.
Yeah.
Along the way, we've got other people. We've got two former editors of Volleyball Magazine. Mike Miazga lives in Chicago, and Megan Kaplan, who lives in Austin, who both write for us. And we've got other people circulated around the country. Chris Dabalski used to be with PrepVolleyball.com, has now picked up juniors and high school coverage for us. And we've got a guy named Guilherme Torres who lives in Columbus, Ohio, is Brazilian, whose English is unbelievable and has started to cover Brazilian stuff for us. And his first story was fascinating. He wrote about a men's player named, you're going to have to help me here, Yoandy Leal, who's from Cuba, but has joined the Brazilian men's indoor team. And what he did was he interviewed him by Skype in Portuguese and wrote the story in English, but used the video interview in Portuguese on the story. So we can try to appeal to both audiences, because the Brazil volleyball passion and number of people is so big. Mm-hmm. Now he did something on the women's team, and he's got more things coming. And of course, in beach volleyball, it's just crazy the way they're churning out. I mean, they could go 1, 2, 3 and both sides next summer in Tokyo. It's they're crazy.
The last
things.
Quad was even crazier.
Well, they can only go 1, 2, right? Because there's only two countries.
Yeah, they can only go 1, 2.
Yeah. But they could conceivably.
Totally.
Although I can see it happening on the women's side. I think in the men's side, it's going to be pretty darn hard right now to beat either the Norwegians or the Germans.
And the Russians.
Which Russians?
Krassilnikov.
The world champs.
World champs and World Tour.
If you had to put money on the besides your team.
You already knew my answer.
Yeah. Besides your team. No.
Putting money on
the two guys from Norway.
Yeah, you'd be stupid not to put your money on Norway, for sure. But I honestly would not be. Look at world champs. They do have less experience than a lot of these other teams, and when it comes down to it, and you are the favorite by far, and you're supposed to go in it, things change. Veterans can do things in the moment that can change things for people who haven't been there before, I think.
You've probably addressed this maybe on the show, and I'm hoping the two of you even write about this more. But on the United States side, where does it stack up right now? Who's going to be the two teams? Who's in the lead? Who would be? Is anybody a leader in the clubhouse at this point?
I think if you look at it, me and Tri kind of talked about it earlier, where at maybe the halfway point of the summer, it would be as if Tri and Trevor were 6 under par, and Phil and Nick were 2 under, and Jake and Taylor were even. Where it's a nice lead to have, but you're just 2 days in, so it didn't really mean anything.
Right.
It didn't mean a whole lot. And then now I think it's pretty much because I averaged it out where if everybody were to have 12 finishes, that it's basically they're almost in the exact same spot. It's a dead tie between those three, and there's only really 3 men's team in the race, whereas everybody else kind of dropped off. Whereas the women's side, you have April and Alex, who it would take something drastic or really bad for them not to be in the Olympics, and then you have 4 teams who have a pretty legit shot at that second spot. So the women's race is insane for how deep it is, whereas the guys, it's just a 3-horse race.
So what do you got to do? How many you got to
Get better at volleyball. That's what I got to do.
Get more medals.
Well, number one, I got to stay healthy. That's been the main thing.
But I meant in terms of do you have to win? Do you have to just finish good?
It's a points race, which is kind of boring, I think. But yeah, so it's your best 12 finishes from this whole past season to up until June 2020. And I think there's about 7 events out. I got to see the schedule, but it's not out yet. It's not official, and it always changes. But there'll be about 7 events.
Nothing in America.
Nothing in America, unfortunately. But yeah, it's all about points. Basically, whoever has the highest average finish is going to go. And right now it's a 3-horse race, so 2 of the 3 are going to go. Same thing as last quad. Hayden and I ended up being the 3rd team, but it was really between Nick and Phil, Jake and Casey, Hayden and I. But I don't want to be in that position this time around.
See, in swimming and track and field, for example, you can miss going to the Olympics by 1/100th of a second in an event because they have trials.
Right.
And it's part of it.
You can get sick that day. And
It happens.
yeah.
But in beach volleyball, it's the damnedest thing. You don't have trials. It's just this year-long, lifetime achievement award for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
right.
Picking up. And I personally have problems with that. I would rather see a tournament, an FIVB style tournament. And can I get on my soapbox now about a non-beach guy watching the beach and trying to understand?
No, I appreciate
the AVP
it.
is stacked. Okay, I think the AVP has done a fantastic job. The Amazon Prime is great.
Right.
I love what they're doing,
Yeah.
and Barney and Cameron Irwin, they just do such a great job. I love the freeze rule. I think that's a fantastic thing that they put in. But I don't like the fact that the top 4 teams basically get to sit back and watch people beat their brains out for 2 days before they really have to do anything. And it's so unfair that nobody, I say nobody, a 1 in 15 shot has a chance of coming out of the qualifier and even getting to Saturday, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because, and the wear and tear, whatever. Anyway, so that's my soapbox. So what I love about the big FIVB majors is that there's pool play. Just like girls juniors. You gotta play, you gotta play everybody, and then your success or failure, equal for everybody up and down the field, determines whether you get to the next round.
Right.
Not because you just did well previously and you're sitting there waiting. And at the end of the season, I would be curious to know how many times, like, Phil and Nick had a jump this year compared to Travis,
Yeah.
think about how many times you just had a jump and swing on Thursdays,
Yeah.
compared to
Yeah.
them playing, oh, well, we won. No, we're going. It was good. We got there late. We won. Okay, let's go. Where do you want to have dinner? Let's watch some video. Get a good night's sleep.
To be fair, Nick and Phil are jumping on Thursdays for FIVBs and then flying overseas.
Right.
All right, everyone, we're going to take a little commercial break here to bring up a topic that is important to us. We here have our guest, Kelsey Brandon. She's the founder of Volley for Sound, which is an event that is put on to increase awareness about hearing loss and the stigma that deaf individuals face. Kelsey's here to tell us about the organizations that she supports and, more importantly, an event that's going on right here in the South Bay of Los Angeles, which is called Volley for Sound, and it's going on October 19th down here, and anyone's invited to come and join. And what it is I actually got to compete in it last year. A bunch of the pros come and they're auctioned off, and the event is raising money for these organizations, and the pros get to play with the players and the people that come in and buy teams, and it's just a really fun day, and it's for a good cause. So Kelsey's going to tell us more about it.
Hey everybody, basically Volley for Sound is about raising awareness for the hearing loss and also to eradicate the stigma that young deaf children face every day. And in this tournament, it's very unique. You'll be required to wear earplugs while playing to help you better understand the difficulties of hearing loss that people face, like me, every day. And then for added fun, we have a professional volleyball player auction where teams of fours, co-ed fours, have an opportunity to buy a professional volleyball player to play on their team. And it's a great way to help raise awareness. And this tournament is also in honor of my hearing specialist who recently passed away this past Christmas. And I felt so grateful for all the services and resources I've received from her and from the community. I really wanted to give back. So I decided to put on this event to help the community. So and that's basically what this tournament is about. So I hope you guys can all come on out and support. And if you can't be there to be present, we do have a raffle and silent auction to support. And
Yeah, so come on down and support. We had a great time last year, so thanks for inviting me. It was really cool, actually. Cool perspective to play with earplugs in and kind of take out that sense, and we don't realize that, you know, a lot of us take that for granted.
Yeah.
And so just playing a sport where communication is really important, it's actually quite entertaining to see people try to deal with it without being able to talk. So yeah, thanks for putting on the event. Everyone come down, and also, where can people find more information?
You can
or sign up.
Yeah, they can find more information on our website, volleyforsound.com, or Google it. We also have a Facebook page, Volley for Sound. It's the number 4 in the middle, Volley for Sound. And just reach out to me. It's just form a team of 4s, and we're more than happy to help if you're unable to form a team.
Love it. So again, that's Volley, the number 4, sound.com. And put a team together and come down. It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
And that is October 19th. What time does it start?
It starts at 8 a.m. That's check-in.
So be ready for all day fun. The beach has been beautiful lately, so it's definitely a good time. Come on down. We appreciate it. And now back to the show. To get back to the AVPs, which is a whole nother story.
Isn't it the other way around normally? It seems like on Sundays, people finish here and then they're sprinting from an AVP event to an airport to go fly to Moscow or someplace, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And, you know, Phil and Nick, I'm not riding on you guys. I'm just using it as an example. You know.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and I will say, like, from my standpoint, I look at it, and, like, they've earned that spot to be relaxing, and that's just kind of to relax, and that's just kind of the way it is. I do love, like, for a 24-team draw, I think modified pool would be the best way to do it, because you look at it, this has happened to me twice in a row in Hermosa, where I've won my first main draw match, moved forward to play a team who got a bye, then I lost, and I go back to as if I had lost my first match. I didn't move forward at all. I just moved forward and moved back and then moved
in
back.
the same place.
And I look at it, I'm like, damn, like now I got to play these guys who like have been off for like 8 hours because they lost their first match and like they've been resting, and then like, you know, I just got pounded by Ed and Rafu, so I think a 24-team draw modified pool play would be great, but like 32 teamers, there's no buys. 16 teamers, there's no buys. Just the 24 teamers, it's kind of a strange deal. But to your point about Olympic trials. There was an Olympic trial in '96, and this is if you talk to Randy Stoklos and Adam Johnson about it, they will say that no Olympic trials ever, because in their qualifying match, Randy Stoklos was hitting a warm-up serve, landed on a ball, and sprained his ankle, and like pretty much couldn't jump in that match, lost, and then had like the next was in the losers bracket, had another shot to qualify, but his ankle was like toast, and then lost to Karchen Kent. So. But I think if like him and Adam had played, you know, for 2 years on the FIVB or whatever, we probably would have made it because like they were really good.
Have you ever had Adam on this?
We have.
Because he coaches girls club volleyball. He's got a club in Austin, and I met him on the circuit and over the years and I visited with him. It's too bad he's short on opinions. What an interesting fella, though.
Yeah. He was a good player. They were a really good team.
Go ahead.
Well, I think the system. I think it'd be better for our sport to have the trials. You know, it's more exciting. It's something for our fans to watch. And more importantly, it will get those top 4 teams you're talking about home for all the AVPs.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to rely on the World Tour to decide who goes to the Olympics. Now we own that as the U.S., and we can give our U.S. fan base that value. And I think for me it's like depressing. I feel like I haven't played on the AVP tour. I've never played a full season except for my first year on tour. And even when me and Hayden won Team of the Year in 2015, and we didn't even play in all the events. I think we had won the most or something. So we won that, but like the rankings and like what fans are seeing on the AVP is never real. Mm-hmm. Like the stats or anything, because half the team or all the top teams weren't even there. So if someone has 100 blocks and the other guy and one of the top guys has 60, well, that top guy had 3 blocks per set just to get to that 60. But the other guy played 3 times as many sets, so he's going to have more blocks. And I think that kind of stuff is confusing for our fans. And if we can own that Olympic value, like the entertainment value of that,
well, I mean,
I think it'd be
when
huge.
You watch the U.S. Olympic track and field trials or the U.S. Olympic swimming trials or in any sport, it's gripping usually.
Yeah.
It can be tougher than the Olympics.
It's not fair, though, and it's not necessarily going to get our best team to the Olympics. I will say that, because anyone can win one event. Not anyone can be a top-ranked team on the World Tour, and it's been proven over the last however long. Like, since I've been on tour, there's been certain individuals who have been in the main draw the whole time, and certain individuals who have been trying to get there, and they can't. And if you can't even make a main draw or prove that you can get on the podium once throughout a season, then you're probably not going to go get the U.S. a medal at the Olympics. But you could earn that spot.
Well, the one thing, too, in your sport that nobody else has to contend with is the weather.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
Totally.
The wind can make volleyballs do strange things. So I would suggest that if we ever did go back to Olympic trials for beach volleyball, that it be conducted indoors in a big arena. I think that would be really cool.
I think I would say my dream trial system is just have the AVP season be your trial.
That would be amazing.
So you would have say 8 events.
I'll bet the AVP would like that.
You have to stay together as a team. It's like similar to how Hawaii was seeded this year, where your main draw was seeded off of your points in the Gold Series as a main draw team. So you have teams actually staying together, so you can get behind a team. Not everybody's like switching up. And the Olympic race is at home. So like you go to Manhattan Beach, which is late in the year, and you have say 4 teams in the Olympic race. Well, now the stakes are like a lot higher than just, I mean, your name on the pier is one thing, but your name on the pier and an Olympic race, then you have a whole nother thing. And now you like capture not just the beach volleyball market, but you might tap into that Olympic market too.
That's the key right there, I think, is having the AVP be, our domestic tour be the Olympic race. Problem is you have to get USA Volleyball on board, and their funding comes from the USOC. So USOC has to be on board in terms of, is this the best way to get us medals? And we still want our players playing on the World Tour because that's what they want. They want that international success.
Well, that's where the money is, too. You make so much more money if you finish high in an FIVB event.
Well, now it's switching.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
an
changing
AVP is
now.
like bigger than a 4-star money-wise.
That's good.
Yeah, the World Tour is weak right now.
And the AVP is just like getting really strong.
AVP is great.
Yeah.
We'd rather stay home, to be honest.
There's the issue of the ball, too, because that Mikasa is way different than Wilson.
For sure.
Right. And everybody likes the Wilson.
Yeah, so I was... So that's what I would love to see. I think a big obstacle with that would be to get the FIVB on board. Do
they need to be on board, though?
They don't need to be. You know, whatever the USOC says.
Like Brazil does their own thing.
But Brazil still has to earn their 2 spots.
They do it through the World Tour.
Through the World Tour. So we would still have to earn our spots through the World Tour.
But the individual country can decide who the 2 entrants are?
So you have to have your 2 teams, like 2 teams ranked in the top 16 or top 25 on the World Tour to assure your country 2 spots.
Top 15.
Okay, top 15. So we would still need teams to be performing on the World Tour in order to say have the AVP season as our Olympic.
Do you see why I say all the time beach volleyball is like herding cats?
Right, exactly.
There's just so many chefs in the kitchen.
I know. And the other thing that blows me away about beach volleyball is how many partners so many people have had and how they'll end up being partners.
We've had that conversation.
I'm sure they say you can't not. How many have you had as a pro?
2.
Just 2? Just you and...
I'm dedicated.
Wow.
Pick them good and stick with them.
Good.
Yeah, my BBB, this is like 3 pages long.
well, when I started, actually, I guess I had like a few guys, but that's like trying to break in, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Yeah. If I got Scoop ahead, I'd probably cling on to him too.
Right, yeah. I wasn't planning on breaking up with him after 2016.
Well, you had the nerve to get sick.
Right, yeah.
What
an idiot.
You good?
I've been good, yeah. Finally feeling good. I was just starting to feel good on the World Tour until I broke my hand. Punched a pad.
Did you really? Is that how you did it?
Yeah.
Out of a frustration of a play?
No, out of celebration of winning in front of the home crowd in Vienna. I can't tell if that's better or worse. You know, I'm proud that it wasn't out of frustration, but it's just as stupid. I don't know why I keep telling that story. Coming. I know. I feel like, if I was Sue happy, there's a few things out there that I could go after. We won't get into that.
That's special. By the way, I hadn't seen you in a long time because Travis
well.
and I talk on the phone a lot, and we email and text with each other. But
Yeah.
it's quite the since I'm out here, I'll say that's quite the gnarly beard.
Yeah.
You know, and,
good California.
Yeah, except for the hole on the side over there. What's up with that? Like, right, you know.
Yeah, I know. I have some random patches missing.
I know. That's it.
Yeah. But Delaney likes the beard, so the beard stays.
Oh, there we go. Little scruffy.
Ed, with you, like with sports photography, kind of circling back.
Oh yeah, with volleyballmag.com. Yes.
How do you get into sports photography in general, but because you grew up in Northern California, and then how did you kind of narrow that focus into volleyball and beach volleyball? I feel like is kind of where your passion really lies.
So yeah, I've been a big volleyball fan since 1976, and in 1978 I went to this enormous grass volleyball tournament, the Berkeley Open. Probably over 150 nets. And I thought, this tournament is really cool. Wouldn't it be great to have some photos of this? So I walked about 4 blocks to a local camera shop, picked up a Canon or a Pentax K1000 and a Solagore lens, and shot volleyball just randomly. I'd used my parents' cameras before, but that was the first time I had owned a camera, and kept shooting ever since. And I owned a volleyball facility up in Sacramento for a few years, so that gave me something to always shoot, and people love seeing their pictures. Yeah. So I did that for a long time before moving down here, and then, of course, this is heaven for beach volleyball.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of went from there?
Yeah, just kept shooting.
Did you go to school for photography, or did you just is it all self-taught?
It's pretty much self-taught, other than an 8th grade photography class.
Nice.
And nowadays on the internet, you can learn a lot by seeing how other people work.
Yeah.
There are no secrets. You can reverse engineer a photo, see where people are setting up, how they're shooting, and so on.
You were in the business world.
Yeah, real estate broker. Not that fun.
Well, you fit into the beach volleyball world just fine then, because after beach volleyball, everyone just gets into real estate. It's just kind of the way it goes.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I guess I went the other way.
Yeah. Right. Reversed it.
What are some of the highlights of your career? It's interesting to me that you've been around it for so long. That's like a really unique perspective that you bring.
So, one was Beijing 2008. Mm-hmm. I wasn't credentialed, but there was, down in one corner of the arena, there was this really loud bank of speakers. And it was right in front of the really expensive corporate seats in the first row. So people could not sit there for 3 hours.
Right.
You just could not. So they always moved somewhere else. So I could always go shoot there, and I'd buy the cheapest seats I could find from some Chinese scalper, and I would work my way down, 7 rows at a time in order not to get busted and kicked out. So I got to that front row and I could shoot there the whole time. And Phil and Todd were in a third set against Brazil. Made an amazing comeback. I think they were down 11-4 or something in the third. And then Phil put on a blocking clinic on Marcio, and he pretty much retired right then. And I have a great shot of him over and just stuffing Marcio, and Marcio can see the ball down in his chest, and that's my favorite photo.
For sure.
So.
Those photos I've seen of that Olympic Games was Phil was just an absolute freak of nature. He was getting up so high. Yeah. Now you can kind of see it with Anders gets up like that, but young Phil was ridiculous how high he was getting.
And that was in a period where there weren't that many people.
People didn't know how to play against that, for sure. When I first came out, I didn't know how to play against that. So I first came out, I was hitting the normal shots, and it's that wasn't supposed to be within your reach. Okay, I'll just go over. Oh, you can swat that too. Okay, I guess I have to change my entire game. But now there's a bunch of them, like you said. And back then I can't imagine guys dominating the tour, and then Phil comes out and you just can't play the same style of volleyball anymore because he's such a freak.
Yeah. Every year I get Ed to do his top 10 favorite photos and beach photos, and he puts them together at the end of the year, and it's really spectacular.
Yeah.
But there's 2 photos in particular that we've run and used. One was Penn State winning a national championship. And there's a couple photos around at the penultimate moment of the celebration, and you look at them and you go, those are really good photos. But Ed's is just that much better. And it's just a little bit, but when you look at it, you go, wow, our picture is so much better than their picture. And then there's a picture of Stanford winning last year that there's a picture out there that shows Catherine Plummer coming in from the left, and she's jumping in. All the emotions, the picture's almost identical. But Ed's picture has Catherine Plummer a split second after that with her ponytail flying up in the air. And when you look at the picture and you go, wow, this picture's so much better than the other picture.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff that he does. But how many pictures do you shoot in an average AVP weekend?
Probably 10,000, 10 to
Holy
12,000.
moly.
I'd put the over-under at 2,000. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's so
Good.
many. And then
You gotta like
then
editing.
Pick what?
Well, I try to clean them up as much as I can. I
Right.
usually go home with about 3,000.
Okay.
I'll process around 1,500, and around 900 will get to my website, if ever.
Right.
Yeah, right. See,
Wow.
So you guys talking about Phil, and the first volleyball match, beach volleyball that I ever went to, outside of like just going to Mango's in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
We were in Berlin on vacation. Brenda and I went to Berlin for a few days, and we were taking a little boat tour. And you've been to Berlin probably.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're talking about
Your
it.
first win, right?
Yeah.
This been like 11, 12 years ago? Wouldn't have been that long ago.
No. Damn.
So,
2014 I played in Berlin.
oh, it was way before then. Anyway, the boat goes around this curve in the river, and I said to her, and it was a cool boat tour. You could drink beer and stuff on the boat. You know,
Yeah.
watching stuff. And it's a river in the city. And I said to her, volleyball. She goes, what? And I said, listen. And, there's a cadence to volleyball whistles.
Totally.
She goes, you're right. And we come around the corner, and there, set on the banks of this river, is a big FIVB volleyball tour. I didn't know anything about it. So anyway, the boat goes back, and I get back in the hotel, and I'm looking at the internet, and I go, oh, there's a big beach tour here tomorrow. Tomorrow's the finals. You want to go? And it was just the women's final and the men's final. And she was like, yeah, let's go, Brenda was a big-time volleyball coach. She never played beach, and I had never seen a beach one. So we go, and it was free. We walk right in, and you get these amazing seats.
Everyone's always surprised when
Well, it's the biggest.
wait, can you give me tickets? I'm like,
It's the biggest
free.
mistake they've
It's
ever
free?
made.
Oh, how great can it be then?
Yeah, but that's
Right.
the biggest mistake that volleyball
Right.
ever made. Beach
Well, they're
volleyball.
still making it, so
You
there's
know,
got to be a reason.
It should have been, even if it cost a quarter.
It's because they're scared not to have the stands filled.
Well, so
I
we
think.
watch, and I remember being so impressed with Phil, who was a new face on the
Yeah.
in the sport at that time. I think at that level.
Totally.
And then I got to watch Kerry Walsh Jennings and Misty May play, and I think they beat a Chinese pair in the final. And I will tell you, I've covered everything. Okay, I've been lucky enough as a sports writer. I've covered the NBA at the highest levels, Major League Baseball, the NFL. I've seen international soccer.
Shaq at LSU.
We tell that whole story another time. But Misty May is among the most spectacular Jordan-esque athletes I have ever seen in person. Her ability to fall down in the sand and get back up at a high level faster than any, it was incredible. Did you ever get to play like nearby and see her play? Or
Yeah, but she was kind of like dipping in every once in a while, post kids, just because she could. Like, not like legit Misty. But I got to watch it.
It was
growing up.
she was the most explosive,
Yeah.
fast twitch muscle fiber. Now her partner wasn't bad. Kerry's pretty damn good, but a different position and a different body type.
Yeah.
And Misty, I've never forgiven her for costing us at least 2 indoor gold medals by turning to the beach. She was that good.
Yeah.
She was that good. If you didn't see her play at Long Beach State, and you've never seen the videos, I'm telling you, she was a one-person wrecking crew. And I remember just thinking it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, because I was just so taken aback by it. I'd seen Michael Jordan play, and I would put her athletically in that category.
Yeah.
And then since we're not on a time frame here, I can just so afterwards the match ends, and it was like this. How they make those beach complexes, and right across is a train station. I love European train stations. They're
That's where we played, right in front of the train
right.
station.
And I said to Brenda, let's go to the train station because I want to look around and I need to use the restroom anyway. So we go over there, and we come out of the bathrooms, and in the train station is where they're doing the post-match news conference, in the train station. And we walk over, and there's two interviewers talking to Kerry and Misty, who would immediately, they take their, wraps, and so they had their, kind of dressed up for the interview.
Yeah.
And Misty was asked a question about liking coming to Berlin. And she gave some answer, and the interviewer wanted more and looked at her, and Misty goes, "And world peace." And we busted out laughing, me and Brenda, but nobody else laughed because nobody else got it, right? And Kerry looks down at us and goes, "You American?" And it's like, yeah. So afterwards, they came over, and we visited, and turned out we had a lot of mutual friends and stuff from volleyball, and met with them. And for my TV show, they actually cut a promo that was really funny. Kerry and Misty did. And that was my first pro beach volleyball tournament.
Not a bad
Yeah,
intro.
it was pretty funny. We had this great
Get
conversation.
to meet the greatest team in history of team sports.
And they were so funny,
They were so good for the sport, not only because of their ability. You take Phil, his physical ability and his dominance. You could compare the two, but what they did off the court and the level that they reached as American professional athletes, that raised our sport so much.
Mm. Well, I've been around Kerry under a lot of different circumstances, long before we became part of P1440, at NCAA Final Fours, at the beach championships for the NCAA, and she's tireless in visiting with kids and women and posing for selfies and signing autographs and just being so nice and not just an ambassador for the sport, but just as a nice person. And that goes such a long way. There's a lot of athletes out there who can just be such dicks, and they don't have to be.
Yeah.
Because that one little kid, that you can influence in a positive way. And I can't say that. I assume Misty was the same way, but I just haven't been around her as much under those circumstances. But Kerry, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think a big part of it is just kind of educating the players on the business side of things or the media side of things and understanding what our sport is off of the court. Because I never really got that introduction. I just came out and I figured if I win, then all this stuff comes to me. But then I realized, no, you kind of have to create it. You have to go get an agent who, or you don't need an agent, but you have to create value for yourself, create value for the sponsors. They don't just show up and say, here, wear a hat. Here's a bunch of money. You have to actually bring value to the table.
Well, the thing is, too, that as a sports writer talking to an athlete, be a good post-match media interview. When I talk to you on the in-between days, just be honest, have fun, enjoy it. And then afterwards, don't be in a big hurry when a sporting event is over. Kid wants your autograph. People want to shake your hand. They want to do it, Just,
that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that that's part of what we're doing.
And sometimes you lose and you're in a crappy mood, but you should still be nice.
Yeah. And you can take your 10 minutes, but then come back and get that in,
Exactly.
Those people showed up, and that's what our sport needs is people to show up and be entertained. And if they want just an autograph or a high five or, something like that, then I think that's our duty to give them
one thing
that.
College women's teams do, indoor teams, is almost everybody's got athlete signing periods afterwards. So State U plays at home, win, lose, or draw. Girls, as soon as this match is over, the tables are going out, the posters are there, and you guys got the Sharpies. And no matter what happens, there's a couple hundred little girls who line up in their families, and they want to shake hands, take a picture, sign the autographs.
The World Tour does a good job of that by having a media section. When you play on stadium, you have to go out
through the mix zone.
Through the mix zone, yeah. And do your interviews. So the sport's getting out there. Everyone's getting their interviews, but then the fans line up right outside of the mix zone always, and I think the tournament kind of tells them to meet there, or it's just where the athletes come out. But I think that's important too, is for the tour to kind of facilitate those opportunities for the fans to engage and for the media, because I'm sure it's hard to chase people down. If I'm pissed off, Ed might not catch me. I might be gone and I'm hiding somewhere because I don't want to be.
Well, that's where relationships and reputations come in.
Totally.
I was in Japan for the pre-Olympic tournament, and there were a couple people who lost, but they were and I think I'm giving myself the credit I deserve here. It's all right, he's come all the way here. He's interviewed me in the past. He knows. I know I'm going to get a good question. So
Right,
you know?
totally.
And
But,
like, if
or
you
get their
establish
phone
a-
number. Like
Yeah.
Ed can text me.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
we do that.
It's a small
you know.
sport,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And if you like don't burn athletes in your stories, that
Right.
goes a long way too.
Yeah,
You're just
right.
like, well,
I mean, I hope people, if they ever read anything that we've done, no matter what the circumstances, they think it was, fair and accurate, and and honest assessment of things. And we don't overly assess anyway. I mean, you win, you lose. Whatever.
That's actually an interesting thing that I want to bring up is, I feel like in volleyball, a lot of times we don't dig up the dirt quite as much, and I don't know if it's like you don't want to step on people's toes and not get interviews or later on the line, but there's a lot of like dirt in there sometimes that I think is really interesting, and a lot of, you look on TV and it's like, look what Antonio Brown did, he's an idiot, blah blah blah. We don't have like this analyst like that.
Yeah, well, the one thing we have, like for example, again back to the women's indoor, we have statistics, we have sports information directors, and we have all the information in our hands. So I can say, little Janie had 20 kills, but she only hit 0.65, and then in the fifth set she was terrible.
Right.
And you can notate that. Whereas with you guys, the match goes by, and unless you're like charting it yourself, you're not going to get any kind of numbers, for example. And it's just the nature of the game. It's just so, and there's only two people. It's so much different. But as far as the social,
like I should be grilled for what I did in Vienna, right?
That's true, right?
Someone should grill me, but I'm the only one up here telling everyone about it like an idiot.
Right. But your point about the other side of it is, like I do Mondays with Mick Haley, the former USC coach who from your time there. And what's great about Mick is that he's got a great volleyball mind. He'll analyze, and he doesn't care what people think. So he's actually criticized some people and done some stuff. And to your point, it was like I was kind of like cringing a little bit, but thinking this is very refreshing. But it'd be tough to like put yourself like in the case of like the Amazon Prime network where Kevin Barnett and Cameron Irwin are there. They can be critical or analytically critical, but only to a point, because they're there for the whole tournament. They're there for all 8 tournaments. And then win, lose, or draw, they're going to want to have conversations with you.
Exactly.
And so you've got to know that line. But I think any athlete will respect fair criticism if you point out factual things. Again, like, player XYZ hit into the net 4 of the last 5 times he swung, and that's why they lost the match. That's a fact.
Right.
And they might get angry that you analyze it that way, and like how why, but that's okay.
Do you think our sport maybe would benefit from having? I think what I'm referring to in like ESPN and all that is these analysts whose job is to take a side and then allow the audience to either agree or disagree, and that kind of riles everyone up about it.
We don't really have Volley Talk?
No, I do not do the blogs, but I think that would be entertaining, right? Somewhat. Like if there's really an expert, let's say I retire and me and a few players we probably have to retire to do this, but we make a talk show and we just give our honest, brutal opinion about certain things. Like this guy's blowing it because he's doing this and that, and what is he doing off the court, and that kind of perspective I feel like would be pretty interesting.
I'd recommend.
And Travis kind of laid it out there a few times, which I liked. I was like, oh, this guy's telling it how it is.
I'd recommend for you to just get healthy and still try to make the Olympics for right now.
No. See, I love everybody. I'm not trying to be that guy. But I don't know why that. I mean, I see that a lot.
The last couple times I've interviewed Carrie, she snapped at me because she didn't like the questions, and she'd be the first one. We joke about it,
right?
But I appreciate the fact that whatever.
I think Barnett, I think, probably does the best job of being openly critical in a fair way. Because I remember when I watched a match that I had on Stadium Court that he was commentating, he was like, Travis's jump serve is not effective at all. He should probably go to a float. And I like kept jump serving. I like would either miss or they'd pass it easily. And I was like, that's right. And so now, like, if my jump serve's not working, I like go to a float, and like because of that.
Yeah.
So it was useful for me, but like I do think that you're right. Like we could use like a Paul Feinbaum, who does the same thing in the SEC and has like rabid fans this way and that. And
but the fans are engaged.
Yeah.
Whether they're like
Sandcast is the closest thing to it. I mean, don't remember now. There's not that many media outlets. I mean, over the time that we started volleyballmag.com, I mean, there's been a few of them that have come and gone. To begin with.
Now we're kind of it.
Yeah, and now
it's like 1440 is the same. You've Volleyball Mag. So.
Right, and with the Net Live retiring, there's one volleyball podcast of significance.
And Yeah. Well, Coach Your Brains Out
You know?
but they're indoor too.
And
so they're good.
And they're sporadic.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are cranking it out every single Wednesday, no matter what. There's something, and it's awesome, and it's hard. But so unfortunately, there's not that many media outlets.
Right.
You're stuck with us. But on the other hand, we're covering it hard. So.
Well, and we're in it. That's the good thing about like Travis is a writer, or he was a writer first, but like you've completely immersed yourself in it, and you're actually like pursuing like climbing the rankings and doing it.
Yeah.
But like that perspective that you have so much more credibility because you're on the court at the tournaments, in the players' tents.
Well, and Ed gets the same way, because he's been in the sport for all these years. I mean, I'm a latecomer to it, even though, I was a 20-year club director and I've mainstream sports writer. I mean, I was the LSU basketball beat writer for a long time and, I've written a few books and all that. So I bring at least a journalistic sports credibility to it. You can question my volleyball analysis if you want, but not my passion for it. But yeah, so all of you are lucky that you've got us. So.
It's all about the yin and yang, right? Like, this show wouldn't be anything if I didn't have Travis, who actually has the journalist background, or else it'd just be me and maybe some other athlete just, like, talking, and people would be like, I can't listen to this. Like, the conversation's all over the place and blah, blah, blah.
I think you do, like, undersell, like, what you bring to the table, though, because athletes are so comfortable because you're there. And I know, at least at first, I think, like, now that, like you said, like, I have, like, become, like, a pretty legitimate player in the sport, that they're a little bit more comfortable, like, talking to me, too. But, like, like, April Ross and Phil and Kame in our first, like, 5 episodes, like, would have never happened if it was just, like, hey, Phil, I'm a journalist. I lose 21-9 first round of qualifying.
They were definitely doing me a favor. Like, all right, Trav, like, let's
but
do
to
this
your
if you
credit,
want.
too, the people you guys have come on Sandcast come and they're wide open. They're open.
And I think that is what Tri brings.
Yeah, and they tell good stories, and you're a good interview. You ask good questions. I always find it fascinating about the stuff that happens off the court and the lifestyle things that athletes have to deal with, and you guys get them to talk about that. Whether it's diet or travel or their social lives and stuff, and that stuff's pretty fun.
That's what I wanted, because I was having these conversations with these athletes overseas, and I was bored. I was like, this is value right here. Like, people want to know about this stuff in our sport, so how can we do it? But I mean, you guys have the same thing, that kind of yin and yang. Like, he's been around the sport. It's kind of funny. Like, we feel, players were like in it, and we're always there, and I feel like we know so much about the sport. But if you really look at it, like, we've only been here for like, he's been here for a few years. I've been here for like 7 years or something. You've been like following the sport since the 70s.
Yeah.
Like, you could listen to the stuff we're saying and just be like, yeah, this guy has no idea. It's such a small scope of like what it means, and you're not on the court, so you understand it from the outside, from the media perspective, from the business perspective, probably. That's something that I think all the players could benefit from learning more about. I'm trying to learn more, but
well, for me, I had never. My first pro beach volleyball tournament was covering for Volleyball Magazine about 5 years ago in New Orleans, which set some kind of 3-day record for rain or something. And that was the first time I'd ever been around it. And I remember thinking, there's so many elements here that are so weird, not the least of which was, as soon as the final was over, athletes were sprinting and changing in the limousine that they had set up for them to get to the New Orleans airport because they had to go to Moscow.
Casey and Jake and Phil and
Carrie.
Listen, that I was in wherever we were. I was overseas waiting for that, and we decided to stay because it was a big event for us. I think it was Moscow, right?
Yeah,
it's one of the last Olympic qualifying events.
And you can't get to Moscow from New Orleans.
It's terrible, yeah. But we were waiting there in Moscow, and when they got there, they told us, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but basically they had said whoever wins the first set wins the second, because they didn't have time to go to 3. So they made a pact before.
That's great.
Whoever wins the first set.
Well, they had to fly. I'm pretty sure they were on flights that were going from New Orleans to JFK, and they didn't have that much of a waiting time at JFK to then connect to Moscow. But I remember thinking to myself, too, if you're a high-level athlete and you don't get the time from a match to end to shower, to get the treatment that you need, and then you've got to go sit on 2 flights, the risk of you getting injured over there.
Or
And you can go
sick or
back and look
anything.
this up. I'm pretty sure that there were a few athletes who didn't
Phil got
fare well.
majorly injured
Yeah.
in Moscow.
Yep. There was a lot of things that happened later that summer for a few athletes.
Yeah.
But then I didn't see another beach tournament until, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago, World Series of Beach, the last one that they had.
And it was 2017.
With Pitbull. I had never heard of Pitbull, right? Isn't that the guy?
I think it was 2017
Yeah.
because that was the NVL's last event in Long Beach, and then
Yes.
just paired
Yeah.
it together.
Yeah, that's when we actually met in person at that
Yeah.
tournament. Right?
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that was different, but that was kind of fun because it was a small field, so I got to take a lot of time to get to meet and know
Right.
a lot of athletes that I wouldn't have gotten to know otherwise. Not the least of which was the thoroughly hilarious Laura Ludwig.
She's great.
I
She's
enjoy
awesome.
visiting with her. God, she made me laugh. She is funny. And had great long conversations with Phil and Nick. Jake Gibb a little bit, Ryan Daugherty, who we have mutual friends from outside of volleyball, and got to know, and all from that event.
Yeah.
And then that was when he dragged me to Vienna. I still have blisters on my feet.
We've had you guys here for a while. I know you want to get some food. We're about an hour 10. I know that's over
No.
the typical limit that you like your Sandcast.
But somewhere in the refrigerator there might be some more Kona beer, longboard lager.
That's true. But we are, like, Volleyball Mag is in a new phase with 1440. Get a couple more toys to play with. Had a media day today. So, like, what's the future looking like for you guys? Are we going to get to do more things now that you're kind of partnered with a bigger team?
Me, you.
So it's amazing, really. It's kind of like making a transformation from going to be a garage band to getting a recording contract. Because, for example, we had all these ideas. We wanted to expand it to juniors. We wanted to expand it to Brazil. And normally we would be, okay, how are we going to pay for this? Who are we going to get to buy into this? How are we going to promote it? With P1440, if they see it as a viable idea, they greenlight it and we go for it. So we don't have to play short game anymore. We can play long game if we know it's a valid idea,
Right.
and we can get it done. So it's really shortcutting for us, a lot of time.
Listen to me, people. Listen to me. No, I mean, the name is kind of funky, P1440, okay? But there is a vision, there is an expectation of greatness on a tremendous scale. And all I can tell you is that in the next year, you're going to see even more things, not just from volleyballmag.com, but from P1440. It's going to blow your little volleyball minds. And we're doing amazing things on our end. Since for the same time period from last year, from August 15th when we announced the merger, and today is October 7th or 8th, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
We're up 60% in page views. And part of it's because of that. Part of it's because it's been an incredible NCAA women's season so far. It's so exciting and what's going on. But it's more content, it's more resources. It's Travis coming back. If you've never read Travis's stuff, go read it. It's
You're blowing it.
It's good. And the whole thing. So we have great goals, and they'll be achieved, and this merger is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And so we're thrilled. We're thrilled, and it's a good thing. If it's good for us, and I mean this seriously, if it's good for volleyballmag.com, it's good for volleyball.
Yeah.
And so that means it's good for the NCAA. It's good for the USA Volleyball. It's good for the AVP. It's good for P1440.
Yeah.
It's good for the FIVB because it's more good coverage, more in-depth coverage about a sport that if you stuck with this far, if you're into over an hour and 10, it's because you love volleyball.
Especially if you're watching.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this is great. I mean, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys too for being a part of this from the beginning. I think you guys are probably the first people to hear about our idea once we came up with it.
Yeah.
And,
Did I mention that I named
you
Sandcast?
did. I was going to say it, but
We should give you this ball.
No, that's okay.
we appreciate you coming up with the name and being a part of it from the beginning. It looks like we're all kind of on the same boat now, so let's ride this thing.
Got it. Good. Thank you.
Love it.
Thanks for coming on, gentlemen.
You the man.
Shoots.
Shoots.
supposed to say shoot.
Oh, shoot. Shoot, what does
You
that
must
mean?
not watch the show.
What does that mean? To the end?